Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's yoga practice. For props for today, I would suggest having a bolster, a soft block, and a couple hard blocks if you have them. And we'll get started on the back today. You can choose any comfortable pose. I'm going to set up for a reclined butterfly shape. So if you have the same props I do, I'm going to place the bolster lengthwise, like halfway up the mat, and then I'll have the soft block just at the end of it and the two hard blocks on the other end of the mat. And then you can come to sit off of the soft block. And this is only really necessary if your bolster is a little bit on like the thicker side. If you're using a pillow or something, you may not need it. And then you can slowly lower the spine down onto it. Make sure you feel comfortable here. If you're tall and you need an extra prop to support the head, then feel free to add that in. And then for the legs, you could keep them extended, maybe something under the knees, or if you want, bring the soles of the feet together, keep the knees wide apart. And then your props are here if you need to support the hips at all. And check in, see if the body's ready for the shape. If you need anything else before you settle in, then go for it, a little movement. And take a moment to find a comfortable spot for the arms. They can be beside the body somewhere. You could keep the hands on the chest or the pelvis. And starting to quiet down the body as you feel ready, and quiet down the mind as well. Gently start to deepen the breath. And with each inhale, finding a little more space in the body. And with each exhale, grounding a little deeper. see if you'd benefit from staying in this shape a little while longer. And you're welcome to be exactly as you are, working with your breath for as long as you need. When you feel ready to start to move again, then you can reach down and gently help the knees back together. Maybe moving your heart blocks out of the way, maybe rolling down to one side, and you can just push your other props out of the way as well. And come to lying flat on the back and take the feet a little bit wider apart, maybe as wide as the mat. You can start to windshield wiper the knees side to side. And feel free to pause if you find any sticky spots you want to breathe into. Otherwise, you might close down the eyes, move with your breath at your pace. Awesome. When you feel ready to, bring the legs back to center and then walk the feet a little bit closer to the hips. Feet can be roughly underneath the knees. Find a place that feels stable for them. And we're going to flow bridge here. So you might bring the arms to cactus or to robot rather, elbows by the rib cage, fingertips towards the ceiling. Get the spine nice and long here. Maybe tuck the chin slightly if you like. And then pressing the elbows, the shoulders, and the feet to the floor. And take a slow, deep inhale. Start to raise the pelvis up towards the ceiling. And then with your slow, deep exhale, start to lower the hips back down. They don't have to go all the way, but find a place that feels good. Inhale breath to lift up. And exhale breath to lower. And check in with the knees as you flow here. And if you're feeling pinching or discomfort, you might experiment with walking the feet a little bit further away and see if that helps. You could also play with lifting the toes up. That can help you engage the leg muscles a little differently. And then the other option is to do it from the tippy toes, so lifting the heels up. Play around, find a range of motion that feels okay in your body. And again, you might close down the eyes, be with your breath, with your movement. Last 5 here. Last couple. Your next exhale breath, gently lower the pelvis all the way down to the floor. And from here, extend the legs long down the mat. You can take the arms up the mat if you like, and then scoot the hips over to the right a little bit and walk the hands and feet over towards the left until you're in a crescent moon shape. You can cross the right ankle over left, the right wrist over left, and keep the right side of the pelvis nice and heavy here so you can really target that stretch to the whole right side of the body. You can also turn the head wherever it feels comfortable. Last full breath here. And then slowly bring the head, the arms, and the legs back to center. And then hips over towards the far left corner or edge, and then arms and legs towards the right. And this side might feel a little different, so take your time to set up, keeping the left side of the pelvis nice and heavy. Finding that stretch through the whole left side. Gently releasing everything back to center. And once you arrive, you can rebend the knees, and then we'll lift the left knee up towards the chest. So you can catch hold of the knee with your hands, you can hold the shin. We're going to set for a half happy baby here. So if you have space, you can reach on the inside of the left knee with the left arm and catch hold of the foot, the ankle, or maybe the shin. So either with both arms or with one. If you're with me in half happy baby, you might start to raise the foot towards the ceiling and then see what the right knee wants to do. Sometimes it can feel like you're leaning over to the left, so maybe you can wing the right knee kind of as a counterbalance. You can also use the right arm out towards the right. If you want to extend the right leg towards straight, then go for it. This will also deepen the stretch for that right hip flexor. And then you can choose stillness here. If you want to find a little movement, you could play with rocking side to side, or maybe imagine drawing some circles for that left hip, moving the knee in any direction. And then finding your breath here, breathing into whatever you're feeling. You might like to rebend the right knee before releasing the left foot if it's extended. And then slowly lower that left foot down to the floor. You might pause here just for a few breaths, maybe resting the knees in together. Hands can be on the body if you like. And take a moment to check in with that left side, see where it might feel a little different to the right. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we'll set that up on the second side. So you can start exactly the same, maybe holding the knee with both hands. Maybe you're reaching the right arm on the inside to catch the foot or shin or something else. And check in as well. Maybe the side needs slightly different movement. Maybe there's a spot you want to look out for. And the same options for the left side of the body. You can extend the arm, you can wing the knee. If you like to extend the leg, then go for it. Settle in here, find your breath. Awesome. And then if the left leg is extended, rebend, gently release the right foot now. Maybe feet wide, knees together. Maybe re-extending the legs. Take a pause here and just notice. When you're ready, collect the knees into your chest. Wrap the arms around the shins and then start to rock up and down the length of the spine, mindful of the neck, not to put pressure on it. Imagine you're massaging those long muscles that run along the spine. And we're going to head up towards the seat, so you might start to build up a little momentum. And then when you're ready, you come on up and find any comfortable seated position. And if you like to sit up off of one of your props, then go for it. can be cross-legged or anything else. Take a moment to settle the hips here. Hands can be at the knees. With an inhale breath, start to open the front body up. Find that sense of space, maybe lifting the gaze. And as you exhale, let the shoulders, the chest, everything go back in space, maybe rounding the chin in towards the chest. Inhale breath, open the whole front body. And exhale to lengthen the back body. And like seated cat-cow, move with your breath at your pace. And if there's anything you need to add on, like a head turn or anything else, then go for it. Last couple here. The next inhale breath, return to your tall spine and settle the pelvis, soften the shrug muscles in the shoulders. Take a moment to lengthen the neck. All right, gently flutter open the eyes. If you're on a prop, you can move it out of the way, swing the legs around and come and find a tabletop position. Awesome, and then we'll work with the right leg first. So from here, start to we'll work with the right leg first. So from here, press down through the hands and make sure that the wrists feel okay. You can also do this from fists, and you can also hold blocks if that helps you feel a little more stable there. And ground down through the left knee as well. And we're just going to lean just enough that you can hover the right knee up off the floor, the whole right shin as well. And then opening that right knee out towards the right. As you inhale, lift the leg up any amount. And as you exhale, lower it back down. And the whole time keeping the foot and the knee roughly at the same level. We're going to do 8 more of these, so 10 in total. Move with your breath at your pace. Last 5 here. Mindful of the neck and shoulders, hands pressing down evenly. Last couple. And last one. And the next time you inhale, extend the leg all the way to the back. A little different now as you exhale, knee towards the nose or the chest. And twice more. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, send the legs straight back. And now as you exhale, step that right foot forward roughly between the hands and keep a short lunge so the back knee stays roughly underneath that left hip. And when you're ready, come on up. So check in here if you need to add some padding for the back knee or if there's anything else you need to adjust. If it feels a little wobbly, you can widen your base a little bit too. We're going to set up for a twist here. So you can take that right hand to the, or left hand to the outside of the right knee and just press the knee into the hand just enough to create a little resistance. And then with the right arm, reach straight up, take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, open towards the right arm can reach towards the back of the room. And then just notice that relationship between the front hand and knee. They're gently pressing into each other. Maybe the gaze follows. Last couple of deep breaths. All right, the way you came in, inhale, reach the right arm high, return to center, and then you can release the arms for a moment, give them a little movement. We're going to set up for a side stretch here. So if you want to have your hard block nearby, you can take it to the left hand. And we're going to stretch the right side from the hip up to the shoulder, maybe to the arm. So you can take a deep inhale and reach high. And then as you exhale, start to arc over towards the left. And this is where the block and the hand might come in handy. You can touch them to the floor. Alternately, you can have that left hand at the hip. You can keep the arm extended here. If you want to bend the elbow and catch the neck, then go for it. Breathe into that stretch, keeping the right hip nice and heavy, the right elbow nice and light. Notice what's happening with the chest as well. And if you find the chest pointing more towards the floor, see if there's something you can adjust so that you can have it open towards the front. Awesome. Squeeze the belly in with an inhale breath. Come on up. You can release that right hand. And then you can use the hands for support. We're going to pivot that back foot around. So kickstand the left foot over towards the right, and then you can come back up. So this lunge is a little different. You might line up the front foot with the back knee. It's almost like a warrior two, but from kneeling. And we're going to set up to stretch the left side now. So the right hand can be at the knee or the hip, wherever you need it, maybe elbow eventually. Left arm reaches up, deep inhale, and exhale, arc towards the front. And again, check in to see if part of your chest is more towards the front, both sides pointing evenly towards that side wall. Awesome. Inhale, breath, come on up, and release. Now we'll extend this right leg and then pivot the right toes so they're pointing towards the side wall. And we'll lower the left hand down to the floor on the other side. So setting up for a side plank here, you can always bring more height, and straight away you can release that knee a little bit so you can unkickstand the foot part way. And pressing the left hand to the floor, you might even imagine gripping the finger pads into the mat so you can really create that sense of stability. And then as a rebound, that right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. You might even keep the wrist flexed so it's like you're high-fiving the ceiling. And then keep that back foot active, tuck the whole ball of the foot under. Really press it into the floor. And then option from here, if you like, you could think about de-weighting that left knee maybe for a moment, keeping it low, maybe hugging it up. And you can alternate with the breath, maybe staying here for about 4 more breaths. All right, knee can lower and then hand can lower. And then just give yourself a moment to adjust, and we'll head to child's pose. So heels together, knees wide. You can walk the hips to the heels and start to lower the chest down towards the floor. And find some support for the forehead, maybe into the floor, into a prop. Maybe a little movement here, rocking the head side to side. Maybe a little sway of the hips. And only when you feel ready to move again, you can make your way back up to a tabletop position. Take your time to set yourself up. You can pad the knees. You can adjust how the hands are connecting to the floor to find something stable for the wrists. And then find that length in the spine. If it feels like the belly's sacking a little bit, then find that slight hug from the pubic bone towards the belly button. And pressing the hands down to the floor, start to make that left knee a little lighter now. And when you're ready with your breath, inhale to lift the left knee out towards the left, and exhale to lower it back down. Mindful of the shoulders and the neck, keep going with your breath. It's okay if the range of motion is a little bit different. Our two sides of the body tend to have a slightly different history, so feel free to modify if the side needs you to. Last 3. Awesome. Inhale, breath, send the left leg back. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale. And exhale. Last full round. Inhale, send the leg back. And now step the left foot forward, roughly between the hands. A nice short lunge again, so right knee underneath right hip, and you can pat it. And when you're ready, come on up. And check in here, maybe left foot to the left a little bit if things feel wobbly. And we'll set up for that twist. So you can take the right hand outside the left knee and just take a moment to build that connection. Left arm reaches up, deep inhale. And with your exhale, twist open, left arm reaching towards the back, maybe gaze follows. And coming out the way we came in, inhale, breath, reach up, unravel, and then release the arms down. You might take a moment, find a block maybe for the right hand now. We're going to set up for that side stretch. So you can either start with hand to the block or right hand to the right hip. With an inhale breath, reach the left arm towards the ceiling, and then start to arc up over towards the right. Hand can find the floor or any support that it needs. And maybe the left elbow wants to bend to catch the neck. And chest stays open towards that front wall. Breathe here. Check in with especially the left hip. See, sometimes it has a tendency to get away from us. So see if we can keep the left side feeling as heavy as the right. All right, strong belly here. Inhale breath, come all the way up, and then maybe bring the fingertips to the floor. We're going to unkickstand, or we're going to kickstand that right foot, and then you can come back up, maybe walking that left foot to the right a little bit, and find your version of this lunge. Maybe patting the back knee, and setting up for a side stretch so the right arm can reach up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, arc towards the front, maybe elbow to knee or something else. Notice what that top shoulder is doing. Maybe it's creeping in towards the jaw. Maybe you can open it up, down, and back a little bit. Give yourself a little more room. Find that stretch from just above the right knee all the way up to the right fingertips. And strong belly, inhale breath, come on up and release that right arm. Extending the left leg, turning the left foot in, and then lowering the right hand down to the floor, maybe unkickstanding the right foot. And setting up for side plank, so really build the connection of that right hand, keep the wrist nice and stable, maybe left palm like it's flat towards the ceiling. Find that strength from there, tuck that left foot under, really press it to the floor, and then from here, if you like, you can stay or think about hovering, maybe lifting that right knee up, and breathe here. Last couple deep breaths, maybe soften the face. All right, right knee can lower, left hand comes down, and we'll come and find child's pose. Knees can be together or apart, hips to heels, and lower the chest, the forehead to the floor. Adding any props you need, find any arm expression you like. And please stay and rest for as long as you need. And only when you feel ready to, you can start to walk the hands in towards the knees, come up to find a kneeling position. And look around. We're going to set up for camel pose. I'm going to talk through using it with a bolster, but you could also use a hard block in each hand for this. And coming up to stand up on the shins, and straight away, if the knees or the shins feel a little sensitive, you can add a fold to your mat or add a little blanket or something. Just make sure it feels stable. And then if you're coming with me using a bolster, you can take the bolster and lie it across the ankles. That's basically so that when you reach back, it's not as far to reach as going for like the heels or something like that. And take a moment to lengthen the spine. Find that slight hug, pubic bone towards belly button. Maybe a slight tuck of the chin, and at least to begin with, find that length through the back of the neck. And you can take the hands to the hips, or maybe palms to the top of the sacrum, the top of the pelvis. Slight hug of the elbows together to open the chest, and take a deep inhale. Start to find that length from the belly button all the way up to the throat. And you can stay with this, or think about reaching one hand then the other back to catch hold of your bolster. And if you are connecting the hands into something, you might press them down a little bit, see if that can help you find a little more space across the front body. Take a moment, notice where the hips are. And if you find that they're significantly back from the knees, see what it feels like to press the pelvis forward a little bit so that they can stay roughly on top of the knees. Find your breath here. All right, strong belly, slowly start to lift yourself up the way you came in. And then you can stay in a tall kneel heel, or maybe you want to lower the hips to the heels or to your bolster. We'll take a second round, but before then we'll pause for a few breaths. So any quiet shape that you like to pause in. In a moment, we'll set up for a second round of camel. So see if it feels better to skip it, then you're welcome to do that. If you want to come in the exact same version, there's always the option to stay more upright with the hands on the body. You can use the bolster again for your second round or your blocks. If you like to go for the heel grab, then you might tuck the toes under just because then the heels are a little bit closer. And check in with your foundation, see if there's anything that needs a little more support or anything. Maybe hands to the pelvis to begin with. Find that slight hug through the belly. Find that space across the chest. And then with an inhale, start to lengthen that whole front body. Hands can stay for support, or you can cup one heel and then the other. Again, if your hands are making connection to something, you can press them in. See if that helps you lengthen a little more through the front body. And it feels okay to let the head go back and down, then go for it. If you'd like to stay for a few more breaths, you're welcome to. Otherwise, with a strong belly, slowly come out the way you came in. And you can stay upright again, or hips towards the heels. Come and find a kneeling shape. If this doesn't work for the knees, then you can swing the legs around, find a seat instead. Find that length from the tailbone to the crown. And breathe here. And we'll release with a twist here. So you can take the left hand across towards the right thigh, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, deep inhale. And as you exhale, twist open towards the right arm can reach towards the back, or you can bend the elbow, maybe land the hand on the pelvis or over towards that left hip for a half bind. And keep the spine nice and tall, maybe the gaze is towards the back wall. And breathe here. Right arm releases, inhale, reach it up and then back towards the front. And take it over towards that left thigh. Inhale, reach the right arm towards the ceiling. And exhale, reach the right arm towards the back. And see where this one wants to be, reaching maybe to the pelvis or towards that right hip. Spine tall, shoulders soft. And gaze where it feels comfortable. Inhale, unravel, reach, and return to center. And give the arms a little bit of a shake out. Awesome. So from here out, so just having your soft block just kind of nearby. Also your bolster may come in handy, maybe one of the hard blocks as well. So just make sure that they're kind of near the top of the mat. And when you're ready, we'll come and set up for downward facing dog. So from your tabletop, and place the hands maybe even slightly forward of the shoulders, and grip the finger pads to the floor, tuck the toes under, and then lift the hips up and back. Maybe pedaling the heels a little bit. Take a moment to stretch out the calves and the hamstrings. You can move in any way you like or find stillness. Awesome. Coming to stillness in your downward facing dog. And from here, with an inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. And as you exhale, step the left foot just outside the left hand, and right knee can lower to the floor. And setting up a lizard lunge, so if you want to point the foot out at an angle, if that feels better for ankle or for knee, then go for it. And see about the hands here as well. So if the floor feels a little far away, or if you'd like to play with lowering to the elbows, then you can slide either your heart blocks or maybe your bolster across the mat, and maybe you can lower down onto them. And see what you want to do with the back leg as well. So you can keep it exactly as it is. You could shift the knee back. Maybe that gives you a deeper stretch through that left hamstring. And you can also tuck the toes and lift the knee, and this will change the shape as well. So find your version of lizard lunge, find something that feels sustainable, that you can breathe deeply in, and then settle into your stillness as you're ready. Awesome. If you're on the elbows, then you can slowly make your way back onto the hands. We're going to transition to a three-legged dog, and I'll also talk through some options from there. But know that you can always release to a three-legged tabletop if that feels better in your body. Otherwise, lifting the back knee up, sending that left leg up towards the ceiling. You can bend the knee now and stack the hips. And check in to see if this throws all the weight into your right hand, and see if you can press down through the left hand. You can choose stillness, you could play with circles, bending and extending. If you want to come with me to flip dog, if your shoulders feel ready for it, then you can look down towards that bottom right corner of the mat and then slowly start to lower the left foot towards there. The left arm will release at the same time, so you can pivot both your feet to point towards the back, almost like a bridge pose. Right hand stays strong, right shoulder stays stable. You can bring the left hand towards the chest and start to turn the chest up towards the ceiling. You can also extend the arm up and over. Wherever you are, make sure you're still breathing. And you can stay in flip dog for maybe up to 5 breaths. And coming out is exactly the same as going in, so you can start to gaze towards the top left corner, start to reach there with your left hand as that right foot gets a little lighter, pivot the right toes to point back towards the front, and sending the left leg back in the air, knee stacked. Awesome. And now square the hips up, extend the left leg, deep inhale. As you exhale, slide the left knee just behind the left wrist, taking the left foot over towards the right. And now setting up for pigeon pose. So straight away, if pigeon pose doesn't work for you, set up for deer pose instead. That's where you're down on the left hip, the right knee is out towards the right. And then just check in here. You can slide the right knee a little further back, maybe untucking the toes. See if you need a little support on that left hip. If it feels like it's hovering or it feels like you're really leaning over to that side, then maybe a soft block to keep you a little more even. We will take it to a fold, but before going there, just walk the hands in a little closer to the pelvis, letting your weight shift back, and letting everything settle and adjust. And then from here, keep the spine nice and tall. Start to walk the hands forward, and maybe you're lowering to the elbows. Maybe it's onto a prop. Or maybe there's a different version of the pose you want to explore today. So take your time and set yourself up however feels the best for today. Make sure every part of your body that needs it feels supported. And find your breath here. Awesome. Slowly making your way back up. If you have any props in the way, you can remove them. You can tuck the back toes, bring that back knee a little closer, maybe slide that left foot a little further back. When you're ready, lift the back knee, press the hips up and back, find your downward facing dog. If you want to explore a three-legged dog again, then go for it, or three-legged tabletop. And you can pause in down dog. We're going to take just a couple of breaths here, but if flow is part of your practice and you want to explore one, then go for it. And then when you're ready, we'll set up for all of that on the second side. So with an inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. With your exhale, step the right foot just outside the right hand, lowering the left knee down and setting up your lizard lunge. So again, find the angle for that right foot that feels the most natural, the most stable in your body. Maybe shifting that left knee a little further back. You can stay on hands or lower to elbows. You can lift the back knee up or keep it lowered. And generally mirror whatever you did on the first side, but modify if this side needs something different. And settling on your pain-free expression of the shape. All right. Slowly start to come back up onto the hands. If you're using a bolster, you can move it out of the way. Heading for that three-legged dog, and then there's all the options to stack or to flip dog. Always the option to work from a three-legged tabletop, especially if that's what your wrists need right here. When you're ready, lift the back knee up, send that right leg up in the air. You can bend the knee and stack the hips. And check in with your hands, especially if you're staying here. Keep that even press through both palms, through both sets of fingertips. And if you're coming with me to flip dog, start to look towards the bottom left corner of the mat, and look towards your foot, and slowly start to lower it to the floor as the right hand gets a little lighter. Once the toes touch down, pivot all 10 toes towards the back. Maybe the right hand to that left armpit or to the chest. And check in with the left hand, keep it actively pressing down, find the stability in the shoulder, and then with an inhale, start to open the chest towards the ceiling. Staying here, maybe right arm reaches, be where you need to be. And if you're staying for a few more breaths, then go for it. And coming out exactly like we came in, start to look towards the top right corner now, pivot that left foot. And then as the right fingertips come down, that right hip lifts up and come back to stack of the hip. And check in with the hands, press them down. When you're ready, square the hips, lifting that right leg up behind you. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, slide the right knee just behind the right wrist, right foot over to the left, any amount. And again, the same option if you prefer deer pose, lower the right hip to the right, slide that left knee up a little. You can set up here, stay with me in pigeon pose. Maybe that left knee shifts back a little bit. If you found a prop helpful for the hips, then you might mirror it on this side. Walk the hands in a little closer to the pelvis just to help everything settle in. And keeping the length in the body. As you feel ready, you can start to hinge and fold. And see where you want to be this side. You can use your props the same way or a little different. And take your time finding your version of the shape. And slowly unraveling back to center, walking the hands in, moving the props out. Either one last visit to a three-legged dog or to a three-legged tabletop. Stretch the leg up behind you, and then when you're ready, you can come to your downward facing dog or to your child's pose. Be wherever you need to be for the next few breaths, stillness or movement, and maybe flow if that's part of your practice. And if you're down dog with me, then slowly lower the knees down to the floor, hips to the heels, and then we'll slide the legs off to one side. And turning towards the side of your mat, we'll set up with a wide-legged stance. So you might choose to sit up off of one of your blocks. And then start to set up the feet nice and wide apart. And see what feels comfortable for you today. There's no shape that you have to be in for this. And just check in once you find it. If it feels really effortful to hold yourself upwise, or if you find that the inner body is kind of concave, then see what you can do to adjust. Maybe it's a question of finding a little more strength, or maybe it's a question of lifting the hips a little higher. So straight away, find something that's workable when you're upright, and you can choose to stay with it, or you can set up to fold. It might help to have your bolster nearby if you can still reach it. And there's a few different ways you can use the bolster here as well. So one option is to have one end to the floor, and then maybe one to the chest, or maybe one end to the forehead. And you don't have to come very deep in this stretch to find that stretch, the backs of the legs and even through the lower back. If you want to play with lowering to the elbows or something like that, then go for it. Notice what the feet want to be doing. So if you have a tendency to point the toes or to flex the feet, see which one feels better for today. You can also experiment with finding a slight external rotation for the hips. So you might imagine if the toes were pointing straight up, have them point slightly behind you. And sometimes doing that can allow you to fold just a little bit more comfortably. And so exploring your version of the shape and settling into your pain-free expression of it. Gently start to back out of the shape using the support of the arms. You might lean back on the hands, maybe help the legs back together. It might feel nice to windshield wiper the knees here a few times. Awesome. Find a seat for a moment, and then we'll just give the wrists a chance to stretch out too, especially after side plank and maybe flip dog. So bring the hands to the backs of the hands to the floor. They can be either by your hips or wherever you like them out in front. And then just bring a little bit of weight onto the hands to find that nice stretch through the back of the wrist crease. You might also imagine that you're trying to drag your hands forward in space, and sometimes that gives a nice stretch too. Awesome. You can back out and now bring the palms to the floor with the fingertips pointing towards you. It's okay if the heels of the hands don't touch down. And again, you might start to press down a little bit. You might imagine like you're trying to drag your hands forward and find that nice stretch through the inside of the forearms. Awesome. Let that go. Give the hands just a little bit of a shake out. The shoulders, the arms as well, if you like. And then take your bolster down out in front of you, and then we'll lower down onto the back. Once you touch down, you can scoot the hips over to the left a little bit. You might extend the right leg towards straight. We're going to set up for a one-legged twist, but if twisting with both knees together feels better for you, then go for it. Keeping the bolster to the right side, you can start to guide that left knee across the body, and you can bring it to land on the bolster any way you like. Notice what's happening with the left shoulder, and if the left shoulder is rolling up off the floor, you might slide a prop underneath. It might just help it feel more grounded. You may keep the right hand to the left knee the whole time. You can extend both arms or just one out to the side. You could also take that left arm to the floor overhead. That might offer just a slightly different side body stretch here. So see what feels better. If you like to take the gaze down towards the left as well, then go for it. If there's anything else you want to adjust or explore in your shape, you can do that here. And settling into stillness as you feel ready. And gently return the head back to center and releasing the left leg back to center, the hips to midline. And we can set up straight for the second side. If you need a little pause here, a windshield wiper or something like that, then go for it. If the bolster was helpful, then take it down to the left now. And scooting your hips towards the right, maybe extending the left leg long. And then guiding that right knee across the body to bring it to land on the bolster wherever is comfortable. Both shoulders grounded into something, whether it's floor or props. Right arm to the right or to the floor overhead, maybe gaze down towards the right. And if something feels a little different here, if you need to modify your shape, find your breath. And gently bring the head back to center, releasing the right leg, and scooting the hips to midline. Give yourself enough room, and then maybe a windshield wiper of the knees side to side. And you can stick with this, or you can bring the knees into your chest, and you can continue a rock side to side, or maybe some circles with the knees. If you like, you can end with a happy baby, so reaching between the knees, maybe catching the feet, the ankles, or the shins, feet towards the ceiling, low back nice and grounded, and even here stillness or movement. Releasing anything you don't need here. If you have hold of the feet, gently release them, and lowering them down to the floor. And then check in here for a moment, see if your body's asking for any last quiet shape or movement, and feel free to explore that here. Otherwise, as you're ready, we'll set up for Shavasana. So any comfortable symmetrical shape, and this can be lying on the back. If that doesn't work for you, then maybe a seated meditation, or you can come back to child's pose. I'm going to use the bolster underneath the knees just for a little extra low back support. You can use your props however you like. And take your time to find the shape that feels the most welcoming and comfortable for you. Let the body get nice and heavy down to the floor. You can soften your breath back to your natural inhale and exhale. And settle here for your rest. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, give the head a gentle rock side to side. You can make your movements a little larger, maybe give your body a full stretch, reaching from the fingertips and from the toes, maybe wiggling hips. Maybe rolling down to one side wherever you have the most space. And then you can make your way up to a seat any way you like to arrive. Any comfortable seated position using any of your props. And if you're sitting cross-legged, maybe choose the awkward cross. Settling whatever's touching the floor. Lengthening the spine, softening the shoulders, lengthening the neck. Checking in with your headspace here, checking in with your body. And perhaps collecting the hands in front of the heart, bowing the chin to the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your energy today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for your yoga practice today. And my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out. Enjoy the rest of your week.